Mae Krier, an original Rosie the Riveter, was born in 1926 in North Dakota. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor, Mae, her sister, and a friend headed to Seattle, Washington, where Mae became a riveter for Boeing, making B-17s and B-29s for 92 cents an hour. She met Norm, her late husband, a sailor, on the dance floor in 1944. Norm was transferred to Pasco, Washington, and in April 1945 they married. She left Boeing to work for the Army engineers with Italian prisoners of war in Pasco at 83 cents an hour. Eventually, they settled in Pennsylvania, where they raised their two children and where Mae still resides today. Mae joined other Rosies to get the first National Rosie the Riveter Day in 2017 and the Congressional Gold Medal for Rosie in 2020. During the pandemic, through her Facebook page Honor Rosie, Mae, with the help of companies, groups, and individuals, made and mailed well over 6,000 red and white polka dot face masks. 5,000 masks went directly to her Honor Rosie followers. In 2022, her face mask and bandana were worn by Rosie the Rocketeer in the commander's seat of the Boeing Starliner, which traveled to the International Space Station and back. In April of 2024, Mae accepted the Congressional Gold Medal on behalf of all Rosies. It was a great honor to her. Mae continues to travel the world to promote Rosie the Riveter's legacy, and at 99 years, Mae still cuts her own grass. Now it's time to join Breaking Barriers with Mae Krier. Hello, Mae.
Hi, Deb.
How are you?
Oh, we're doing good. How about it? We haven't got a great guest today.
I'll tell you, we have a really great guest for Women's History Month.
Right.
And without any further ado, we'd like to welcome retired Col Allison Black.
Hey,
Hi, Allison.
hello, ladies. How are you?
What a pleasure to see you again, Allison.
It is my honor to see both of you, to meet you, Deb, and to see you again, Mae.
We're so proud of you.
Yep.
You honored us so nice when you were on the panel with us at the American Valor in November. We were so proud to have you there with us.
I felt I was humbled to be able to sit on stage with all of you.
Thank you. That was a great honor for us.
So first, thank you for your service, first and foremost.
Of course, it's my privilege.
So you retired after 32 years of active duty military service. Can you tell us what made you decide you wanted to serve, and how old were you when you joined the Air Force?
Yeah, well, thanks for that question. I couldn't tell you what I had for dinner last night, but I do remember when I joined the military. So I joined out of high school. I grew up on Long Island, New York, and I wasn't sure about college or where I was going to go to school and what I wanted to do, but I definitely was looking for that sense of purpose and sense of service. So I delayed enlisted in the Air Force shortly after graduating high school, and then left for basic training that following March. So March of 1992. So I was not quite 19. So I was 18 years old when I actually left for basic. And I think as I reflect, which I've been doing a lot of, I never expected to be in the military this long, for 3+ decades. I didn't have a long range plan. I just knew that this call to service, this was something I wanted to try. And there were a lot of doubters, folks that either didn't think I could do it or should do it. And that was fuel. That was fuel for wanting to do it more. And when I think about Mae and I think about our Rosies and I listen to their stories, sometimes when people say, no, you wouldn't be good at that, or you can't do that, it gives you the firepower to go chase it a little bit more. And that was definitely the case for me in joining the Air Force.
I always say, Allison, if you don't try it, how do you know whether you can do it or not?
No, you're so right. You're so right. I'm not afraid of a lot of things. but I do fear regret. And I want to be able to, when I am, God willing, I get to 99, but when I'm older and I look back and go, man, I tried that. That didn't work out so well. So maybe I won't try that again. But at least I tried. And if I tried and I failed, I can at least say, well, I gave it a go, versus wondering what if.
Was it difficult to be in a predominantly male field? What was it like to be a woman? And were there a lot of other women with you?
It definitely had its challenges. I think when I joined the Air Force, I didn't even think about the numbers difference, right? It was a male dominated career field, or really the military. The Department of War is filled predominantly with men. More men than women want to be in that line of work, especially back in the 90s. So I didn't think about it going in. And when I got there and I realized, basic training, you're in a flight full of girls. So I didn't see any differences. But once I got to my first career field, which was SEER, Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape, that's where I saw that there weren't very many women at all. I did have a couple of very close classmates with me. So I think that the two of us, one of them was Karen, we were so close. And we understood our own, challenges as women in this job, that we were stronger together for sure. Mm-hmm. But it definitely had its challenges over the years.
Well, yeah, Allison, did you have a strong family background? Did your parents really promote what you're doing or what you plan to do, or how did it come about?
Great question, Mae. So my grandfather served for a few years. My father served for 2 years in the Army, but not from a military family. When I came home and said, "Hey, I'm gonna join the Air Force," they thought I was nuts. They didn't understand why I would want to leave the 20-minute radius of our family. Like, everybody's here. My mom thought she had done something wrong. She's like, "Why are you leaving? Did I do something wrong?" And that absolutely wasn't the case. Very, very strong family. Single parent home for the most part. And I watched my mom just work hard and provide for us. And we never wanted. So, Mae, when you asked me about a strong family, I did. I had a strong woman as the head of our household, lifting my brother and I up. It was just the two of us, and instilling that you work hard, and if there's something that you want, you go chase it, and don't take no for an answer.
Well, that's so hard. Our younger men now, I love our young men, how they're promoting their daughters. In our day, a man wanted a son because they carried on his name, and he could work the farm. A woman was just make the beds, do the dishes. And, that's not the way of life anymore with the women. No. It's not 41 anymore.
And it's wonderful, right? It is, I think our culture demands two working, a double working household, right? So usually the husband and wife are now both working versus being able to stay at home. So that's a different dynamic, but I think it's a team. There's nothing that, in my worldview, there's nothing that the man or woman, like, there's no role defined. Like, we should both be able to do the same chores around the house. There are certain things that men can't do that women can. I get that. But for the most part, I see a team approach. And I look at our young men and women in uniform today. They look past the gender. They want a good teammate. They want you to be really good at your job. And they want to be able to trust you, regardless of what you look like and where you've come from.
So, we'll start out with, tell us where you were on September 11th, and then we'll go into what happened after that.
Yes, ma'am. So September 11th, 2001, I was stationed in Florida at Hurlburt Field, and I was assigned to one of the AC-130H Spectre gunship squadrons. There was only one. we were, and that our mindset then was just, training hard. And on that particular day, my husband, Ryan, had a separation of service. He was also a SEER specialist, and he was coming back on active duty. So we'd been married for quite some time. I had gone from enlisted SEER to an officer flying on gunships. So a privilege of an officer is to be able to swear people in or, re-enlist them, retire them. And my husband was coming back on active duty. I was at the MEPS, the military and processing station up in Montgomery, Alabama with him, getting ready to swear him in back on active duty. So we were in Montgomery, Alabama at Maxwell Air Force Base. We were seated in the waiting room, and there was a TV in the room. And we saw the reports on the news about the first tower being hit. And being from New York, I was familiar with the landscape. So I think we had heard about it first. So I initially thought, probably like most people, it must have been cloudy. The weather must have been bad. Had to be a small puddle jumper plane to crash into one of the towers. And then we saw the footage and realized that was definitely not the case. So while they were showing and talking about the first airplane hitting, we watched live that second plane hit. And instantly I knew the world in which we knew it was going to change forever, especially in special operations. Like, you are there in the time of crisis. So when the call comes in, so we were seated in MEPS, and the government really shut down all of the airspace, as we all know, and shut down any processing into the military. And I returned back to Hurlburt, which was just about a 3-hour drive. My husband and I came back, and then got recalled into the squadron to find out what was going on, and then coming up with a plan on how we were going to respond. But on that day, we were up in Montgomery at Maxwell Air Force Base.
So tell us about the AC-130H plane, and then your experience as a gunship officer. What does all that mean? Because us lay people don't know.
So the AC-130 gunship, she's just a marvel, and she's a monster garaged, C-130 airplane. So if you take a basic cargo C-130 and you monster garage it, and you put a field artillery piece on the inside of it, and it's on the left-hand side, then we had a 105 howitzer and a 40 millimeter Gatling gun in the back. And that platform is designed to protect the forces on the ground. So the close-in fight, to really, I've summarized it before, the best way to say it is to put bullets where bombs can't go, to protect, because we don't want to blow up our own force, right? So at the time, those bombs couldn't get dropped too close to our own forces, but the bullets from the gunship with precision could absolutely do it. So the close air support, CAS mission, as they say it, working with the forces on the ground, and as the navigator on that platform, you do the typical navigation job, making sure that we get the airplane from point A to point B. We get to the refueling routes on time. We also, as the navigator, do all the communication, the tactical communication. So there's a difference between en route and then once you were on station, kind of on target. So my role was to clearly communicate to the ground forces what we could see with our sensors, and protect them at all costs. So that intimacy of air to ground and protection of our forces was just near and dear to all our hearts. Anybody that flew on that plane was deliberately dedicated to protecting the guys on the ground.
And did you only go out at night?
At the time, yes. So it was, all our missions were done after the sun went down. So a C-130 isn't a fast-moving aircraft like a fighter aircraft. And because the way we employed was left-hand circles and very slow, we wanted to hide in the cover of darkness. And we had all our lights off, and we would only clearly communicate on, secure communications to the teams. So that was our protection at night.
And so how many people are on the plane, and were you the only woman?
Yeah. So typically 13 to 14 crew members during that time are on board the aircraft, and you could hold up to 21. So if you think about a C-130, the cargo bay is fairly open. On the AC-130, it's filled with equipment, a mission center, sensors, and then of course our weapons are on board. We had a couple of other women in the squadron at the time, but on our aircraft that we were flying in support of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan in 2001, I was the only one on that particular crew. So we had a woman loadmaster on another airplane, and then we had a woman co-pilot on another airplane. So there were a couple of us out there. We were just on different crews.
So tell us about your mission on the day, about your nickname and how you got that. Who gave you that nickname?
I know you're referring to the Angel of Death, Miss Deb.
Yes, I am.
So believe it or not, it came from my first combat mission ever. So we had brought our airplanes from Hurlburt Field in Florida over to Afghanistan, and we were we weren't in the country. Our aircraft were parked and stationed in Uzbekistan to the north at a base we called K2 Karshi-Khanabad. And when we we landed, we were put in crew rest. We were brought back into the operating tent to be given our mission. And we were given a call sign, a radio frequency, and a grid, a location of our friendly forces. And our job was to find them and protect them and find the targets and eliminate them as necessary. So we launch and we find our way. We fly south. I come up with a route, and our crew made contact with our ground forces, which were the horse soldiers, Operational Detachment 595, who had been working with the Northern Alliance in the northern part of Afghanistan, near Mazar Sharif, to east to Kunduz, to the city of Kunduz. So we made contact with them, and at the time, we were primarily the eyes in the sky. The idea of having remotely piloted aircraft and drones, it didn't exist for them. There's a few small capabilities that were flying around there, but predominantly we were their eyes. So that mission, we were given the task to look for enemy forces, and fast forward, we found some enemy that was moving towards our friendlies, who were located about 5 miles to the west. And we, through my communication, my job as the navigator, kind of through words, paint a picture of what we're seeing. And it's a back and forth dialogue. And they confirmed that those were enemy personnel, and they cleared us to engage. And during that engagement, there was hundreds of enemy that exposed themselves, coming out of a building. And during the course of the engagement, I would get on the radio and what we would call paint the picture through clear, concise communications, tell them what's going on, because they can't see it. And General Dostum, who was co-located with ODA 595, who was the Afghan warlord over the Northern Alliance, heard my voice on the radio. And he asked our American forces, is that a woman? And they said, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. And he couldn't believe it. He said, what? America is so determined, they bring their women to go out. It just blew his mind. And then during that engagement, we were using something called a laser pointer. And that was like through night vision goggles, you could see this light coming down from the aircraft. Otherwise, without the night vision goggles, you couldn't see anything. You couldn't see the plane. and we were sorting and tracking the enemy. So while General Dostum was just, amazed that America allows their women to go to war, he got on his walkie-talkie and called the enemy that we are now shooting at and says, in so many words, "You are so pathetic. American women are killing you. You need to surrender to me." And he would key his mic on his walkie-talkie while I was speaking to our American forces so the enemy could hear a woman's voice.
Wow.
Was he the one that gave you the rifle award?
What's that, Mae?
Was he the one that gave you that rifle award?
Yes. Yeah. So during the engagement, we were, like I mentioned, we were using this laser pointer. And at a certain point in time, General Dostum had a pair of night vision goggles and could see it. And he looked again at our American forces and said, is that a death ray? He believed the laser pointer what was causing the explosions from the ammunition that we were shooting at the enemy. And our teammates said, yes, as a matter of fact, it is. So he again got back on his walkie-talkie and dubbed me the angel of death. The angel of death is raining death and destruction upon you with this death ray. Surrender to me now. And ladies, on board that aircraft during that mission, we knew nothing about this going on. Our crew was dedicated to making sure no enemy forces got anywhere close to our American forces and eliminating as many enemy as we could. And it wasn't until about a week or so later when some of those team members came up to Karshikana, where our planes were at, to K2, with that AK-47, Mae, that you were talking about, and told us these stories of the unintended impact that as a woman being on a combat aircraft supporting an effort, we were able to make a decisive impact. We shamed the enemy a little bit, but then they used that story for good. General Dostum, this was something that was relayed to me by our American Special Forces teammates, that after that particular mission, in that days to follow, they had approached a village and they had a burqa unveiling ceremony where they had gathered, the women and children, and he was encouraging them to fight against the Taliban. And he talked about how America allows their women to fly on warplanes. And if they were to fight, one day they would have those same freedoms. And he talked about the angel of death and that knowing that the unintended impact of motivation, of an opportunity that was passed on was pretty incredible.
How many awards have you received, Allison?
Oh, Mae, I don't know. I believe that everything I have been able to be a part of is a direct reflection of the men and women to my left and right. If I receive an award, it's always uncomfortable for me, believe it or not, because I'm just Allison. But then I look at it and I'm reminded by my husband, Ryan, and good teammates that I'm deserving, but I'm just a representative of an entire community that has been able to serve and do good things. So that's not a good answer. I don't have a number, but I like to think that any opportunity I get to share a story, it's not about me, because I'm just a representative of everyone that I've served with.
You weren't doing it. You weren't doing it for rewards.
No, right? Nobody. Well, I'm sure there are people that do that, but mostly no. You do it because it's a call to service.
It had to be done.
Yeah, and it has to be done. And if not you, then who?
Mm-hmm.
So few people listening or watching this. Our podcast goes to a lot of military stations as well. But a lot of us listening and watching have never been called upon to kill an enemy. So what has to happen in your mind to do that? What does it take, and how do you feel afterward?
What a great question, Ms. Deb. I think about the military. I think about first responders, our law enforcement officers, right, and some of our other government agencies, Department of Homeland, Defense, our border security, anybody that would be called to use a weapon to take a life. In a perfect world, if I go to the gunship mission, a team would go on to an objective and they would find their target. They would capture their target. They would bring them up, back to get the information they needed. We would be overhead and nobody would fire around. That'd be great. But we also recognize that war and combat, you need to be prepared to use your weapon at any time. So I think during the missions, I relied on all my training. I believed that we were there doing the right things for the right reason. I don't, as I reflect on all of the missions I've been honored to be a part of, I find comfort in my faith. And I believe that God wouldn't have given me the skills or put me in a situation to do those things if it wasn't his intent. So I'm okay having done all of those missions and executing the actions because of that. But throughout the years, that took me a while to get to. And I think I had to become comfortable in my own skin and who I was as an officer, as a woman, as an AV, all of the things to know that that's how I can reconcile. I did the right things for the right reasons with the information that we were given. And we did our due diligence and we had procedures to make sure that what we were doing was the right thing at the right time. It's you don't take it lightly. You're not, you just don't. It definitely weighs on you, and it does weigh on everybody a little bit differently. And I think it's something we don't talk about a lot, but a worthy topic to talk about to help people come to terms with the things that they've had to do. Yeah. Again, right thing for the right reasons.
I think a lot of times in movies we see it glorified, but from what you're telling me, it's about the welfare of your fellow American and in defense of them. So gives me a little different idea.
Yes, ma'am. And I would say definitely protection of our joint forces, because we have partner forces in other nations that we work and we've served side by side with. So whoever we're designed to support on the ground, in this particular case, the gunship to the ground forces, whether it's our German soft partners, our Brits, the Aussies, and we work with many other nations, and we would do the same for them. And it is definitely a team approach.
Okay. So, Mae, talk about how you and Allison were on the program recently.
We were honored. They asked me to get more Rosies this year for the panel. And of course, we didn't know who was going to join us. We didn't know at the time that you were going to join us. What a thrill that was. What a credit you are to women. What a legacy you leave for women. And so many women don't realize that you're a strong woman to start with, and that's so important. But a lot of women don't realize what they're capable of. And you certainly show them that don't quit. If you have a dream or a desire, go for it. And it was so cute. I loved when you were on the panel. Allison was a moderator of the 7 men from Afghanistan after 9/11. And all I could think of when I watched her up there is how's she going to handle these men? Allison, I have to read you what you wrote. Your answer to me. I forget just how it goes. Let's see. It says, let's see. I'm hoping it was an example that if you're good at your job, lead with confidence and go do the right thing for the right reason, even the toughest of male soldiers will respect you regardless of being a woman. And I thought that was such a nice statement. And that's so true. You could really hold your ground. Like I said, I was tickled because When I seen a woman up there being the moderator with 7 men, I thought, oh, what's going to happen? It was very interesting. It was a very good story, too.
Oh, well, thank you for that. That confidence was built over many years. I think inside you always doubt, right? It's that imposter syndrome. You wonder, am I good enough? Do I deserve to be here? Am I worthy? I think that's not a gender thing. That's a human thing. Mm-hmm. But I think over the years, I would block that out and I would stay focused on what our team brought to the fight. And I do believe that our military, I wish it was every organization, but we want good teammates. Like I was saying before, we want somebody who's really good at their job, who wants to be there, who will do what it takes for mission success. Whether you come from the inner city, whether you come from the country, whether you're tall, short, man, woman, it doesn't matter to us. And sometimes I think the narrative outside the military is it's very divisive. But I think internally we see the best in people and we can see right past it. As we're issued each other. When you show up to a unit, you don't get to choose who's in your unit. So I think that breeds that sense of teamwork. And again, humbled to have had people pour into me to give me that confidence and to give me opportunity to prove that I deserve to be there.
You have something special, though. The average woman couldn't take that on, I don't believe. I mean, you do have something very special. And like I said, how proud we are of you. You set the high standards for women. I think it's great. They realize that what they're capable of when they hear your stories. Do you have any idea how many planes? Well, I'm sure you do. How many planes you've actually flown?
So most of my flying hours have been in the AC-130H Spectre gunship, and then something called the U-28A Draco. So it's a single engine plane. So thousands of hours in those two platforms. But I've flown a C-130. I've flown on other aircraft, but I haven't flown the aircraft. So, a couple different aircraft while you're in training, but predominantly the U-28 and the AC-130.
Well, so you're talking about aircraft I know nothing about now.
And it's all of our weapon systems are incredible. It's so much fun to see this next generation. Even though I'm not wearing the uniform anymore, I still try to stay linked in with what they're doing and how they're getting after the mission.
Well, that was my next question was, what are you doing now? I know scheduling this podcast, you're a busy lady.
I retired about a year and a half ago, retired from active duty. So I now work for Sierra Nevada Corporation, or SNC, and that is a defense company that does systems integration for a lot of really the Department of War, but a lot of our aircraft and systems in Air Force and U.S. Air Force Special Operations, AFSOC, and then U.S. Special Operations Command, which is what we would call SOCOM. So that's staying in tune with what hard problems do our warfighters need solved, and helping our company find a pathway to deliver that capability. The team I work with is incredible. The company is driven by the same things that drew me to the Air Force and then to AFSOC. They're driven by a get to yes mentality. They're driven by a sense of mission and a sense of purpose. So I was blessed to find the perfect landing pad after active duty to continue to serve. So that's my day job. Mm-hmm. And in my off hours, I try to find time to be in the schools, to mentor, to spend time with veterans groups, to share my stories, but also to listen to their stories and be just an ear or a sounding board. That fills my cup.
You never know when you're going to plant a seed in somebody's mind, do you?
Yeah, no, May, you're right. I think when I doubted what I have to say is valuable, I was reminded over the years that other people, even though I might have not had women that were ahead of me to look to, right? Well, she could do it. I can do it too. I just wanted to do something and chased it. Our, young men and women said, hey, you're showing me that it's possible by you sharing your stories. We find them valuable. And that's the journey of life, whether it was just being an aviator, whether it was being a wife, maybe it was about being a mom and still being in uniform. So some of the life lessons that we all experience throughout our own journeys, our teammates found valuable. And when I heard that was a calling, right? God has given me an opportunity to share those stories, and I need to listen to what he's telling me to do.
Is it very difficult to retire after being so active and outstanding, a high-profile job?
Yes, it was a tough decision, and there was nothing that pushed me one way or the other. I was ready. I was, at this point in my life, there was a path outside of the military that I didn't know what was on. And I wanted to find out while I could. So it was I knew what the next few years in the military would be. And it was hard. There was a period of time I felt like a quitter. Because I was leaving a team when I didn't have to. And I went back to that, if not you, then who? Why would you leave? You could still do more work. So I had to work through that. And where I landed on was I wasn't walking away from military service. I was taking everything with me and walking towards my next life chapter. So it's just a different way to look at.
Did you kind of feel less important?
No. I liked being able to step away.
Well, there's so much to do in life. You just close one chapter and start another.
That's right. Right. I didn't have any of my adult life out of uniform. All right. I was 18 when I joined, and I continued that journey. And I am grateful for every step of the way. I just was ready to, chart this next chapter. And as far as being less important, no, not at all. I feel like I try to contribute where I can. Everyone's got their moment. I try to do my best and leave the place a little bit better than I found it, and make a positive impact, and continue to pay it forward when needed, or when asked, not even when needed.
Now you have 2 children?
I do. We have 2 sons. In fact, our oldest son, Connor, he's 20. He leaves for the Air Force next week.
I was going to ask that question.
Yes, he is enlisting in the United States Air Force next week. He'll ship to basic training.
Wow.
Super proud, very excited for him. We have another son who's 18. He's in college now. So he says he intends to serve once he finishes his degree. So we couldn't be more proud. I think my husband and I wondered. He did 24 years. I think I expected them not to want to serve, and I don't know why. Maybe because we were moved around, or we were always, we were gone quite often. But they both have that servant heart. So
You've had such a beautiful, successful life, Allison.
Thank you. You have too, Mae. Thank you. Blessed.
So as we wrap this up, I think what advice would you give young women who want to go in the service or do whatever they'd like? What advice would you give them?
I would give it to young men and young women. If there's something that you want to do, find a way to yes. Give it a try. I think the fear of failure is a real thing. Those choices can be frightening to fail publicly or feel like you're going to let somebody down. Something everyone has to navigate through, but go for it. Easier said than done. Find a mentor, find somebody who is in that career field or has done it, hit them up. I feel like most of us thrive in helping others. I thrive in other people's success. Watching the underdog, take it for the win, watching somebody who was counted out or somebody who's made a mistake rebuild and then come back stronger, somebody who saw a goal and chased it and then achieved it, that's heartwarming. And our country, while not perfect, but our country is a land of opportunity. Go give it a try. That's my advice, is no regrets. Give it a try.
Very good advice.
Very good advice.
Thank
I like
you.
your fear of regret. That's I'll be thinking about that for a while.
Right. And there are things you try that I'm sure we've all tried and we're like, oh, that turned out terrible. I'm not going to try that again. And then often you give that advice to somebody else, like your kids, and they're like, sure. And then they try it and they realize the same, well, you shouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mae, do you have anything else? This has been a great interview. Thank you.
I'm just so happy, Allison, that you came on with us. You make us proud. I wasn't sure whether I thought maybe we couldn't get you on. You were too important.
Oh, no, Mae, I am grateful to just spend a little extra time with you. I want to thank you for everything you've done, because you continue to put yourself out there, whether you want to or not, and you are an example. And what you've done, your grit and determination, it is just a gift to be able to spend a little extra time with you. And so thank you for everything you do and have done.
Well, it takes all of us. It takes all of us to make, hopefully we're going to make a good world out of this sooner or later.
We will.
Well, thank you.
Block out the noise.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
That's such a pleasure, Allison.
I look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, you too.
I know you have a birthday coming up, so happy birthday.
Well, who would ever imagine live this long? Well, not only just live this long, enjoy it. So I've enjoyed it. I've had a very enjoyable life, very good life. Not material things, but health. And I enjoy life. I think and I like people. And I think that makes such a difference.
It does. It absolutely does. You are a gift to all of us.
Uh-huh.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Allison. Take care.
Well, that was great, Mae.
Wasn't it? Isn't she amazing?
You know the best people for this podcast, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm so fortunate to meet people like that down in Washington, that Valor, the American Veteran Center. It's called American Valor. And that's wonderful because they have really down-to-earth people, really good people, nice people who are willing to share their lives and tell their stories. Their stories have to get out there. It has to be told,
That's right. Well, another good podcast we've completed. And next one's going to be a big 100th. How do you put it? How did you put it? Who knows what's going to happen podcast, right? That's what you called the 100th birthday podcast.
Who's that for?
Some lady I've gotten to know over the last few years. Anyway, I guess it's time for us to power up.
It sounds that way.
Okay.
Okay.
We can do it. Be kind, everyone. Take care. Bye.